Just so you know, any and every conclusions that you come up with in this case after hearing it is on you, or very much alleged, according to North Korea. North Korea has declared that they are not the perpetrators of this crime. Now, whatever we are hearing is just a Western conspiracy to pin a murder on them, that they are not responsible for this crime, that their brother just died of a heart attack, and that people are just clamoring on and trying to pin a murder on them, that they were not responsible for this crime. So today we are going to talk about the case of Kim Jong-nam, the half brother of Kim Jong-un. So any and every conclusion you come up with after hearing this story is alleged. So just bear that in mind. With that being said, let's just dive into it. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, my name is Linda Camara and you're on Crime Stories with Linda. If you have not subscribed, please do well to subscribe. And let's just get into it. Two women from two different places, one from Indonesia, the other one from Vietnam. They met through strangers, laughed about being on a prank show, and thought that they were just playing harmless jokes on strangers in airports, malls. But one day the prank turned deadly. The man they touched died within minutes, and the world discovered that the women had just assassinated the son of North Korea's late dictator. This is the unbelievable story of Sitiaisyah and doanthihuong, the two women that killed Kim Jong-nam and claimed that they never knew that they never even knew about him. So this is the unbelievable story of Sitiaisyah and doanthihuong, the two women that killed Kim Jong-nam and claimed they never knew him. Let's start with who these women were, because their backgrounds are so far from what you'd expect in an international assassination plot. Sitiaisyah was a 25-year-old single mother from Indonesia. She moved to Malaysia looking for work, mostly in salons and nightclubs. Friends described her as friendly, easygoing, and struggling financially. Doanthihuong, on the other hand, was a 28-year-old Vietnamese. She dreamed of becoming famous. She had been on Vietnamese reality TV show and posted clips on social media dressed in cosplay, singing and dancing. Neither women had any history of violence, no military training, no connection to politics. So how did they end up at the center of a very deadly plot? That was the question of a lot of people. How did these two women, two unassuming women, from two different countries, end up as international assassins? These women, Sitiaisyah was Indonesian. She was from a very poor village in Indonesia. She was working her butt off, trying to take care of her parents, trying to do a lot of things. So she was just so struggling in her village of about 500 people. She was struggling so much. She would do chores, she would do different jobs to be able to take care of her family. So when she was 16, I think she was 16, she moved to moved to the town in Indonesia, and she was working in a shop and met the son of the owner, and from there she met the son of the owner of the shop, and both of them fell in love. Then she was 16 and they got married when she was 18. So both of them moved to Malaysia, and when they got to Malaysia they had a son. So they moved to Malaysia. When they got to Malaysia, the guy, after some years, the guy just said he wanted a divorce, and both of them divorced, and City continued working. So she for her to be able to, she took her son back to Indonesia. So for her to be able to cater for her son, she was working in different places. She was working in salons, she even became a sex worker. So she was struggling so much to provide for both her parents and her son. So she was doing a lot of things, and she had big dreams of like becoming someone famous. So that was where she met Mr. Chang and or some other people, and they told her that they have this YouTube prank that they produce YouTube pranks. So Mr. Chang told City that Chang told City that he was a producer of YouTube prank videos, so that if she would be interested, that it would pay her better than all these things that she was doing. And she agreed, and she started doing it with him, doing playing pranks on people. They would rub baby oil on her fingers, on her palms, and she would playfully go and shake people, rub it on their faces, and run off and laugh. And so far she didn't get into any trouble, and they were paying her $100 for each time she plays those pranks. So for her, she feels that even if it's not a very interesting prank, but at least they're paying her $100, and she's able to send some money home. She's able to take care of her son and her parents. So she was okay, she was working, doing that. So for like a month she was doing that. And then Dawn from Vietnam was also being coached. She's also from almost the same background with City. She is also from a poor family. She's also hustling to try to provide for her people. She also had dreams of becoming a star. She on her own has gone for Vietnamese reality show. She has sung, and she dances on the internet. She posts her videos on the internet. So she had been trying to like become famous. So she met Mr. White, and then Mr. White started coaching her and telling her that he is also a producer of YouTube videos, that if she's interested, that he can help her become famous, and that doing all those YouTube videos, that she may even be able to win an Oscar. You know, telling a little impressionable girl like that she'll be able to win an Oscar by like playing pranks on people and all of that. She believed him, because from where she's coming from, she's impressionable. She believed that those things, that it's possible for her to play YouTube pranks, and from there we really win an Oscar, and then she will become very famous and known internationally. So she agreed, and then she started playing her own pranks. He will fly her out from Vietnam to Indonesia, to different countries in Asia, to play pranks on people, and she was happy. They were paying her they were paying her $100 too, and for her it's a very good money. She's not doing a lot. She just shake people. She will rub baby oil on them, or rub water on them, or lotion. So they were just playing all those pranks with them, and they were these two girls. They were okay, they were happy, at least now that they have started doing something that is worthwhile. So they didn't know that these people were North Korea or spies. So they were training them to be able to like do this particular thing that they want to do, to be able to murder someone. But they didn't know at that time, so they were just playing those pranks and practicing and doing all of that with people. Even Dawn was just so timid that at first she didn't like playing those crimes. She was so timid that she cannot even run up to people to like shake them and all of that. So they had to like buy a mannequin for her to practice on, to be able to like perfect running up on people, and to be able to perfect this to remove that timidity, to remove that shyness from her, to practice so much on that mannequin so that she'll be able to do it to people. And she was practicing, and she learned that skill. She was getting better at it, and that was how these two people were. That was how they were training them, and they didn't know anything about what they are actually training for. They thought it just to perfect their skills to perform these YouTube pranks. So what these women didn't know was that these men were not TV producers. They were North Korea operatives. They had been testing the women's obedience, their reactions, their ability to carry out the joke without asking questions. So by the time of February 13th of 2017, these women had unknowingly been trained to kill without realizing it. So that morning, Kim Jong-nam arrived at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, Malaysia. He was about to board a flight to Macau, China. Surveillance camera captured what happened next. Sitiaisyah approached him first. She came up from behind him and rubbed her hands over his face. Seconds later, doanthihuong followed suit, smearing another substance on his face. Both women laughed and quickly walked away, thinking it was another prank for the show. But what they didn't know was that each had been given half of a deadly chemical formula, one part on each of their hands. When the two substances are combined on Kim Jong-nam's skin, they formed the VX nerve agent, one of the most toxic chemical weapons in existence. Within minutes, Kim Jong-nam began sweating and gasping for air. He stumbled to a nearby help desk and told the staff, "Somebody rubbed liquid on my face and I feel dizzy." He collapsed before reaching the hospital. So Kim Jong-nam came into the Kuala Lumpur airport. He was just walking on his own, looking on the boards to trying to know his where to board his flight to China. So when these two girls just rushed him and placed their hands on him, and he didn't even know at first. He didn't know what they were doing. He didn't know. He didn't understand. He felt, what are these little girls doing with me? You know, the first one came up and rubbed on his eyes. The other one came and tried to rub on his nose and his mouth area. So he was just confused at first, and then after they left, the thing started. The liquid on his face that started stinging his face. It started stinging and becoming itchy. So that was when he rushed to the help desk to tell them that some group of girls rubbed something on my face, and I'm feeling, and it's feeling itchy, and I'm feeling it's stinging and it's painful. So the help desk person was just, maybe she thought it was acid or something like that. So she was telling him to sit down, that help is coming. So he just sat down, and by the time the help desk staff looked up again, he found out that Kim Jong-nam he had fainted. He has collapsed where he was sitting. So that was when she raised the alarm and actually called the police, and they then took him to the hospital. And then on getting to the hospital, they found out that he had died. So the problem was that they didn't even know that it was Kim Jong-nam, because Kim Jong-nam he had, like, in his backpack, he had a black backpack. He had like 4 passports there, and the one he was showing to people was the one that bear the name Kim Cho. So they didn't know that he was the half brother of Kim Jong-un. Nobody knew who he was. He just thought he's Kim Cho. So when they now opened his backpack, his bag, they found out that he had 4 passports there with different names, different colors. Then he had this 12 vials of atropine, and atropine is actually the antidote to that VX agent that they rubbed on his face. This VX agent is a very, very deadly chemical that it has been banned from almost every country on earth. No country, even US, had to like sink their own in the ocean. Every country signed a treaty that this chemical should not be used. That it kills, it's very deadly, and on its own, it is not harmful. But when it's combined, when the VX is combined, that's when it becomes very deadly, and it kills in a matter of minutes. So those operatives, what they did was they robbed the a first component, let's say component A on City's palms, then they robbed component B on Duan's palms. Then, and they told them that after robbing, that they should just go to the toilet and wash off those things, wash off those things. So maybe those girls, they felt it was, when they first rubbed it on their palm, they felt it was slimy. It's different from the lotion and the baby oil that they usually give to them. So, but they didn't really question it, because they felt that it was, maybe is another product, maybe it's another product of baby oil or something like that. So they didn't really question it, because all these trainings of them going to perform pranks on other people is paying off, because it made those girls not to be afraid, it made them not to think that this is deadly, they made them not to think that this is it made them not to question whatever is being rubbed on their palms. So they just took the ran and performed the pranks that they are being paid for, and they just went their ways. When they did that prank, they went to the toilet, washed off the substance from their palms, and they left. One actually went back to her country, the other one went back to the hotel, because they looked around, they did not see those operatives anymore, so they just left. And these two girls, they were actually meeting that day, February 13th. That was the first day that they were actually seeing each other. So they didn't know each other, they didn't know themselves until that day. So they just left. The other one left to the hotel, the other one went back to her country. So back to Mr. Kim Jong-nam. So let's just dive into the story of Kim Jong-nam. So Kim Jong-nam was once the favored son of South Korea's supreme leader, groomed to one day rule the most secretive nation on earth. So Kim Jong-nam was born in 1971. He was the first son of Kim Jong-il, the late North Korean's dictator. For years, he was believed to be their heir apparent. Smart, well-spoken, and trusted by his father. A regime built in secrecy and loyalty. One mistake can cost everything. So in 2001, Kim Jong-un was caught in Japan using a fake passport. His reason, he said he wanted to visit Disneyland. That small scandal embarrassed his father, his regime, and just like that, he was cut off and exiled and erased from the line of succession. From then on, Kim Jong-nam lived quietly in exile, mostly in Macau, China, and Singapore, traveling under fake names, spending time in casinos, and staying out of politics. But despite his attempts to disappear, his very existence remained a threat to his half-brother, Kim Jong-un. When Kim Jong-il died in 2011, his youngest son, Kim Jong-un, took power. Many insiders say that Kim Jong-un didn't want the... Many insiders say that Kim Jong-nam didn't want the throne, but in North Korea, even indifference is dangerous. As Kim Jong-un consolidated his power, anyone seen as a potential threat was allegedly eliminated, and somewhere in the shadows, intelligence began to pick up whispers of Kim Jong-nam's impending death. So Kim Jong-nam had started, like, intelligence agencies have started like predicting that maybe he will be killed, maybe he would die or something like that. So Kim Jong-nam had always been very careful. He would keep carry those atropines vials in his backpack, like be prepared that in case of anything he has antidotes to all the things, that anything that will happen he will be able to like save himself. But those antidotes that day, I think he didn't really suspect that those girls robbed that VX agent on him. Maybe he knew that they had VX agent in North Korea, but he had heard about it. He has heard how dangerous it is. He had heard that the antidote to that is atropine, but maybe he has never smelt it. Maybe he has never felt it. He doesn't know how it looks like. So that day that those girls played those pranks on him, looking at those girls, he knows that those girls are not from North Korea. So I don't think he was alarmed that they can go through that means to get him. So I don't think he knew that was the chemical that was rubbed on him, because if he had known, he had the bag that had those vials. He could have just used those vials and it will go. Or even mere washing it off can even reduce the catastrophe. You can reduce the level of damage you can do to him. But he didn't do any of that. He just ran to the help desk to report and to get medical attention. But before the medical attention could get to him, he collapsed and died, and that was it. Those two girls went on with their day, believing that they had just completed another prank. Within 48 hours, Malaysian police arrested both women. When interrogated, they seemed genuinely shocked to learn that the man had died. They insisted that they thought it was part of a prank show. Investigators were, however, skeptical. How could two women kill someone with VX agent and not even know about it? Arrested those two women. They thought it was even a prank, that they were pranking them by arresting them, because they couldn't believe it. Why would they arrest them? What have they done wrong? But when they got to the police station and they were telling them that the person that they pranked had died, they couldn't believe it, because how? Where? How? They felt it was a baby oil or baby something, or another product, or even a lotion that they rubbed on the person's face. They couldn't believe that they actually rubbed a dangerous chemical on that man's face, and the man had died. So they couldn't believe that. So, and the police were trying to know whether these people actually did this. But the more they questioned them, the more confused the police people we are getting. How can these people do something like this and they didn't even know that they robbed VX agent on this man, that they didn't know that they actually killed this man? They didn't know that they were working with North Korea spies. Are they trying to kid us by telling is he a joke? But one strange fact is that neither woman suffered symptoms of VX poisoning, and that's because each of them handled only one component of the agent, meaning that they were never exposed to the complete lethal mixture. Meanwhile, 4 North Korean men believed to be their handlers had fled Malaysia immediately after the attack, boarding a flight to Pyongyang, North Korea, before the murder was even reported. The trial began in October of 2017. Both women faced the death penalty for murder. In Malaysia, the death penalty is fast. So if those two women are convicted of that murder, they can be killed within a month of that, or after that trial. So the defense lawyers were really trying to defend them, that these women didn't know that they were working with North Korea operatives. So but it's very hard to prove that they didn't know that they are working with them, and they didn't know that this is what they were actually doing. Prosecutors argued that they must have known what they were doing, but defense lawyers presented compelling evidence, including CCTV of earlier prank sessions, proving that the women had been manipulated and used as pawns. Their lawyers described them as innocent scapegoats in a political assassination. The trial dragged on for over a year. Then in 2019, a shocking turn. Malaysian prosecutors dropped the charges against Sitiaisyah and she was released. A month later, Duan pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of causing injury and was sentenced to 3 years and 4 months. But she was released soon after and returned to Vietnam. The assassination caused a global outrage. Malaysia accused North Korea of masterminding the plot, but North Korea denied everything, calling it a Western conspiracy. So, like I said before, North Korea denied everything, calling it a Western conspiracy. Malaysia was very, very angry with North Korea to the extent that they had to like send back their ambassador, because North Korea had an embassy in Malaysia, but this thing made Malaysians very, very angry that they had to like send back the ambassador of North Korea back to his country, that they don't want them anymore, and that they put their citizen in danger by using a VX agent in their country, a chemical weapon that had been banned. But North Korea insisted that they didn't orchestrate this plan, they didn't do this, that this was just a Western conspiracy. They were even pointing at United States of America and South Korea, and that those were the two countries that conspired and started this rumor of them being the perpetrators of this crime. So they were just denying it blatantly, that they didn't do that, that Kim Jong-nam had problems, that maybe he had a heart attack, maybe had a heart attack at the airport and just died, so that they were not the ones that killed him. But these Malaysian authorities, they performed the autopsy. Malaysian authorities had performed autopsy on Kim Jong-nam and determined that he was killed by PX agent. And North Korea were even angry with Malaysia that why should they perform autopsy on their citizen? Why should they perform an autopsy on their citizen? That they don't have any right to perform an autopsy on their citizen. That they should have just brought back his corpse to North Korea without cutting him open. So, but Malaysia, because they were so angry about what happened, they didn't even want to hear anything from. They were angry, but at least they later sent the corpse back to North Korea, and even against the family, these Kim Jong-nam's immediate families, against their wish, his body was sent back to North Korea, because his family, they were not living in North Korea for a very long time. They've been living in Macau, China, and Singapore and other places. So taking him back to North Korea, it was just like it was a no-no for them. But they had to, Malaysia had to take back his corpse had to release his corpse to North Korea, and that was what happened. So for Siti and Duan, both of them, Siti went back to Indonesia. Siti was the first person that was released, because Indonesia was really fighting for their citizen, that she should be released, that they don't want anything, and they were just like trying to negotiate with Malaysia to release their citizen. And after much talks, that was why Siti was released at first. Then Vietnam, they tried to negotiate, but it didn't work for them. So Duan was in that place even after Siti had left. So she was tried for lesser charges, and then after that trial, she was released on time served. So months after the trial, she was released on time served, and she was able to go back to her family in Vietnam. So both of them, they are friends now, because they feel that they were the two people that know what they faced. So they became like sisters from this experience, and it was a very, very bad experience that I don't even wish on anybody. They were just performing pranks. thinking that they to make easy money, that they are going to become successful on YouTube, become known all over the world, and this is what happened. They did. Oh God, I cannot even imagine how both of them felt with this. I cannot imagine it. Seriously, it's just so heartbreaking. The assassination caused a global outrage. Malaysia accused North Korea of masterminding the plot, but North Korea denied everything, calling it a Western conspiracy. But very few people believed their story. The use of VX agent, the fleeing of the North Korea operatives, the fact that Kim Jong-nam was the half brother of Kim Jong-un, all pointed to the conclusion that it must have been from North Korea, allegedly. So this was a state ordered assassination disguised as a prank, allegedly. The women were victims. That the women were, people came to the conclusion that the women were victims too, caught in a web of lies spun by people determined to silence one man forever. So Siti went back to Indonesia trying to rebuild her life. Doan returned to Vietnam and began working quietly again. Both women say they still live with the guilt and confusion, but they are also relieved to be alive. As for Kim Jong-nam, his death was more than a political murder, it was a warning. So North Korea to this day still insists that they were not the perpetrators of this crime. So whatever conclusion you come up with after hearing this story is alleged. So that is it. That's the story of Kim Jong-nam. His son came out and talked, said a few things, and went back into hiding with his family, the remaining family. So they are just living out their life quietly, and hopefully they will be safe too. They are safe. So that is it for that. So what do you think about this case? Do you think North Korea is right that they were not the perpetrators of this crime? Do you think it's a Western conspiracy according to them, or do you think that there is more to it than meets the eye? Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe. If you like deep dives into true crime stories, don't forget to subscribe, and stay safe, stay curious, just stay safe. Don't play pranks. If something is too good to be true, it's definitely too good to be true. Don't allow people use you. So take care, have a wonderful day, and bye.